Nigel Cecil, calling things out as you like it, especially for his fair-minded friends.
Hello, Chakabatis. Nigel Cecil here once again, entertainment entrepreneur, and Hilary has reminded moi that I am now supposed to be coming to conclusions about artificial intelligence. Now, if we start from the beginning, or try to, artificial intelligence, well, its meaning is that jobs that could have been done by the intelligence of humans, live intelligence, can now be replaced by computers and robots and images. And in fact, in the visual arts, it means that artists, creatives, script writers, performers may be replaced by artificial intelligence, and that could lead to a loss of work and in fact undermining the whole concept of creativity by live persons. So this video is looking at our conclusions, having spoke with my fair-minded and equitable friends, as where we see the future. And there's three parts. I think there's three parts, Hilary. Yes, there's first of all, lessons to be learnt. And have they been learnt? And then what a trade union like Equity, the trade union for actors, variety entertainers and other creators across the United Kingdom, what they think. And then we're going to be looking at Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, to see what Sam says and hopefully then come to a conclusion. And a friendly challenge to the Equity General Secretary, Paul Fleming. But now it's part one, lessons to be learnt. Have a look at this. A video countdown clock there, counting down the arrival of a new threat to creatives. In 1980, there was still a trade union closed shop, so it was important that any creatives were members of trade unions. But the arrival of the synthesizer, well, that was going to threaten the work opportunities of musicians everywhere, because synthesizers could replace them. But indeed, some members of Equity, well, they produced a record, and this is what the record sounded like, all synthesized. The small record company at the time, compared with the major conglomerates, paid for Mike Mansfield, a top video TV producer at that time, who'd worked with all sorts of stars like Mark Bolan. Well, you could carry on naming them, couldn't you, Hilary? Well, the video was made and everybody thought, well, you've got to check. You have to check with the Musicians' Union. And so these Equity members approached the Musicians' Union and said, may we join? We've produced this synthesized record, totally synthesized. And the MU said, no, because we don't recognize synthesized players as musicians. So you can't join the MU as synthesized players. So having discussed it with Equity, they said, well, it's a performance. You're covered by your Equity membership, surely. And so the video was offered to, I believe it was Central Television, for a network presentation premiere on a Saturday morning children's programme. Like this. And what happened? Well, apparently the record company received a phone call to say, sorry, your video has been banned because you're not members of the MU, you're performers. And they said, yes, but they were told they couldn't join the MU. Well, that's a problem for you, not a problem for us. So effectively, it appeared that synthesized players were not regarded as musicians. And that was then. And we're now in now. And where does it leave us now? Well, of course, the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games in 2012 featured Sir Simon Rattle conducting the London Symphony Orchestra and Rowan Atkinson, CBE, as Mr. Bean, playing, guess what? The synthesizer. So did synthesizers put musicians out of work? Indeed, there are more live performances now with musicians than ever before, and the synthesizer has been incorporated. And the key word is live. Bear that in mind as we come to our conclusion. Key word is live. So with that, shall we move on to equity? Yes, let's move on, but don't forget, it happened then. Now, many of my regular viewers will know that equity is currently focusing on artificial intelligence and how it will impact almost exponentially on the work opportunities of equity members. And they've joined with their sister unions in America who are currently holding industrial action, that's SAG, AFTRA and the Writers Guild of America. Now, they're all concerned, of course, that with artificial intelligence appearing to be very inexpensive to use, that it will mean there'll be less work for creatives. But what has equity said about this to, government? So it's interesting to look at what the General Secretary of Equity, the charismatic, yes, I like that word. I'm glad you suggested that word, Hilary. The charismatic Paul Fleming said at a select committee hearing about artificial intelligence at the House of Commons here in the United Kingdom. There is not adequate legal protection for performers' performances of people's images, irrespective of what technology goes behind that. The copyright provisions are out of date in that respect, which is essentially a social and a moral and a legal problem. Extracts from a presentation made by Paul Fleming, the equity... What? You want me to use that word again, do you, Hilary? I don't mind. I think it's a rather nice word. That Paul Fleming, the charismatic General Secretary of Equity, made in their submission to the House of Commons Select Committee here in the United Kingdom considering artificial intelligence. And Paul highlighted the fact that essentially it was a social, moral and legal problem. Now those concepts are really ginormous, aren't they? And if one focuses on those, my fair-minded equitable friends have said, does that mean the trade union might lose sight of what's in the best interest of its members when it comes to considering the terms and conditions of their engagements and the remuneration and rewards they get, especially in the future? Now, my fair-minded friends said, why the future, Nigel? Well, it's correct to say, and one must acclaim the fact, that celebrities of today have achieved a status with their image, their copyright, their works, everything, to actually become celebrities. And therefore they need to protect those rights. But in protecting those rights, how will it impact on those who are not celebrities today, but are hoping to become celebrities, especially if artificial intelligence growth is so exponential that who knows where we will be. Indeed, a synth player back in 1980 was banned, and in 2012 it was featured with the London Symphony Orchestra. So one has to ask, what are the trade unions going to focus on, especially to look after the professional interests of their members and those who are seeking to be stars tomorrow? I mean, we all hope for that. I mean, as an entertainment entrepreneur. So that brings us to the next question. Apart from accepting that celebrities really do need to, make sure their status and their remuneration is guaranteed. But now, let's move on. What? Live performance. Yes, well, we're going to come to live performance with these extracts which feature Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. When interviewed on Bloomberg Television, Sam Altman drew attention to the fact that he believed that the growth of artificial intelligence was on an exponential curve and a relatively steep one. When questioned about a certification system for artificial intelligence, Sam showed his support, but then went on to say, like no one person in the artificial intelligence business should be trusted here. Chakrabartis quotes there from Sam Altman introducing part 3 of this video, where my fair-minded equitable friends have said, Nigel, will you please have a look at those companies who are using artificial intelligence as their fundamental means of creativity? Now, it's interesting to note that Sam Altman says that the growth of artificial intelligence is on an exponential curve, and also that no one person should be trusted here. What do we mean by no one person? Well, when one looks at the creative ability now available to somebody just on their mobile phone, on the internet, on the social media platforms, and when compared with television studios of just a few years ago, the creative power of those apps is enormous. And some are original, the end products, but others are clearly data scraped. Now, what may any trade union do to protect that? Especially, in 10 years in the future, trying to protect their members from being data scraped for that information. Now, the celebrities of today, they've already established what makes their image unique. And so therefore, they're able to say, oi, you've pinched my image. But when the data scraping becomes enormous, how do you prove they've scraped it from you? Indeed, it's going to end up probably where the equivalent of Ed Sheeran is going to have to spend fortunes to defend themselves and protect their rights. And I think it's fair to say, however much we might wish it, a trade union hasn't got the money available to defend the individual rights of one member who's got a problem. So where does that leave us? Well, it comes to that other point that Sam mentioned, copyright, certification. And that's what appeals to moi. Certification that something is live. Because we're humans and we all like live. The idea of watching an artificial thingy jump off an artificial thingy onto another artificial thingy, no matter how wonderful it is, doesn't relate to us as being live. And when you look at things, have live performances decreased? Will live in film and the demand of the audiences to see something live to which they are able to relate decrease? We believe the answer is no, it won't decrease. We all want to interact with something live in all its forms. A script, it's alive. A script that is created, does it have heart? Does it have real emotion? We want live. Which is why it was interesting that President Joe Biden meted with the movers and shakers in the artificial intelligence industry and came up with this joint statement they all signed last Friday. The joint statement said that artificial intelligence companies agree to safeguards in the United States. The goal is for it to be easy for people to tell when online content is created by artificial intelligence, ensuring that people are able to spot artificial intelligence by implementing watermarks. The conclusion reached by my fair-minded equitable friends and moi is to support that statement signed in America, not least because you won't be replaced by AI, you'll be replaced by someone using AI. And that's why a certification watermark system is so important. So anyone watching will know obviously what is live, because we like to engage with live. And in the here and now, obviously trade unions can look for the interests of members to protect what's going on now. But in the future, we need to have a clear demarcation as to what is live and what is artificial intelligence, because it will protect everyone, at least from deep fakes and, quite honestly, being conned. What, Hillary? Oh, Hillary's saying I should give a polite challenge to the Equity General Secretary. Hillary, let's just have a quick discussion. While having a quick discussion, let's remind ourselves about equity and live entertainment.
Hi, I'm Miss Sugar, and I know that live entertainment works.
Live entertainment works. It really does work. And there it was with the wonderful Miss Sugar. But Hillary, well, Hillary has got the challenge they've suggested for the Equity General Secretary, the charismatic one, yes, Paul Fleming. And what Hillary is suggesting is that, Nigel, trade unions tend to focus on thinking restrictively inside the trade union box. So it becomes an echo chamber. And in this instance, because artificial intelligence is on an exponential curve of growth, why don't you challenge Paul Fleming to get in touch with Sam Altman? I mean, we think, looking at all the information and everything, they've got similar objective when it comes to protecting everyone's interests equally and fairly. So, Paul Fleming, may we issue a challenge? What, Hillary? Oh, you've got that card, have you? Yes, Hillary's even printed out a card with, are these the correct contacts? Well, Hillary's got them off the internet anyway. Hope you can see them. But, Paul, why not contact Sam Altman in San Francisco and say, "Hoi, may I pop over and have a word with you to discuss the long-term exponential growth of artificial intelligence?" Because we all realise we won't be replaced by artificial intelligence. We'll be replaced by someone using artificial intelligence. And if we all think outside the box of how to protect members' professional interests, then maybe this won't happen again.